All right, so most of us have heard of the or seen some stuff about the Tyrese situation, and him going to jail. I guess it's been reported that he's gone to jail for child support, $70,000, 75, upwards of $75,000 or something like that of legal fees. I'm sorry, not legal fees, but back child support and fees. Now, here's the thing when it comes to that. Now, some years back or a little while ago, we'll just say, it was also reported that he owed like 69, no, almost $700,000, like 690,000 or something like that in back child support. I know that he did win 50-50 custody. I mean, well, and I also did see some reports about him winning 50-50 custody with his kids. Now, here's the thing. And I know that he was ordered to pay $10,000 either a week or a month. Here's the thing. I don't care. There's no way that it costs $10,000 a month that you should have to pay $10,000 a month to the government for your kids. I'm sorry, it's just unless you got like 20 kids or something, or unless you got like a whole lot of kids, which is probably more than he's got. It should be no way. And like the only way it would be something that expensive is if there's medical costs, and he shouldn't be paying the child support system. He should be paying the hospital or the insurance company or something like that. That's what he should be paying if it's that. But there's no way it should cost $10,000 for any children. Now, here's the thing. I'm not going to really speak much more on his situation, but his situation is just kind of sparking a conversation about the whole child support thing, and that's just what I'm going to really talk about more so than his particular situation. But I am going to say one more thing. I think she was going for full custody, and then he won 50 when he won 50-50. I believe he has 50-50, but even if he didn't, still it also costs $10,000 to raise a kid. Now, why are you going, if you need so much money, why are you fighting for full custody? And he's trying to fight for 50-50. Why are you trying to fight? Because full custody should mean you fully responsible. But if he wants to be more responsible, then give him more responsibility. But allow him to have the more responsibility, which tells me this is a money grab because you're fighting for full custody so you can get more money. Unless you, or this is at least a money grab. We'll put it like this. It may not be only a money grab, but it could be at least a money grab because it's got with Hollywood, you never really know what's going on. I'm not going to say anybody's innocent, but I'm gonna say this: it's $10,000 a month sounds ridiculous. $10,000 a month, a week, whatever it is, that either one is ridiculous. All right. Now, another thing. Let's just get into the whole child support thing. So, there's child support and there's alimony. All right. Alimony is what's supposed to be designed for spousal support. Now, alimony originally was supposed to be designed for spousal support and for the kids because they originally didn't have child support. Child support didn't come around until, I believe, the 1970s. So when there was a divorce, there was alimony paid out, and alimony was to help the woman, and the woman when she has the kids. If she was left with the kids, she wouldn't be left bold. All right, so you have alimony, which is what's supposed to be designed for the woman and maybe the kids. Then you have, which shows the marriage institution isn't really about kids, because otherwise, why are you paying alimony? If it's not about kids, why are you paying alimony? That's a whole nother thing. But in number two, there's the whole child support situation. All right, now, here's the thing that I'm gonna just say this: the church really doesn't really deal with divorce court, doesn't talk about divorce court or the child support system or bring this up or anything like that, and that really hurts a lot of men. And this is why I believe this is a reason why men don't see the relevance of church, because they don't really speak on issues that are relevant to men. And a lot of women don't really have to really pay attention to that because they're not really burned by that. A lot, not all, but a lot. There are some women who have to pay out alimony. I know somebody. I know a couple. I know a divorced couple that the woman is paying out. Personally, that the woman is paying out alimony. But generally speaking, we know what's up. Now, I'm not here to really talk about alimony that much. This is about child support. But the thing is, man, it's just we. The child like they have a child support system to set up so it could. It's like those. It's like the support for the woman, not even support for the kids. It's support for the woman. Now, only time like now, granted, I would rather them build the guy that is father of the kids than build the system, especially when it comes to maybe not all cases. I'm not gonna say all cases, but especially when it comes to the rich. But regardless, even if you're rich, there's no way. There's nothing that will require you to pay $10,000 a month. There's nothing. Okay, $10,000 a month, nothing. Maybe a few thousand. I could see that. 10,000, no. And it depends, and it also depends on how many kids you have. So if you have like 12 kids, it's gonna, and you're rich. That'll be a little different. But he doesn't have 12 kids, not by that individual. But anyways, so then you have the whole men and how we pick women. And a lot of times, I know they say women are more emotional when they pick, but men are sometimes in their feelings when they pick too. It's not just the whole love and the romantic thing, and men tend to be the more romantic of the sexes. And I'm not going to even get into that right now. But we also a lot of times we're just thinking with our lower half, and then we get caught up in her beauty and her lower half, and we don't really vet for character, and then we end up in situations like this. Some of the character traits that it just seems to me that it probably will affect you in the child support system would be one if a woman's vindictive. I was like one of my boys had to pay child support, even like he had 50-50 custody of his kids, and he had to pay child support to a woman because she filed it. She didn't need the child support. She didn't need child support, but she just filed it because she could. Now he got taken off, but that's the point of what I'm saying. You want to leave vindictive women alone. My dad said something about my mom, which was very interesting. He was just like, I knew I was in good hands because she treated her enemies well. And he's like, the reason why I said that is because the worst she's going to treat me is how she treats her enemies. And if she treats her enemies well, then I know she wasn't going to treat me bad. And a lot of people don't value that. People are like very, very eye for an eye, but you're like, but when eye for eye comes for you, even though there's a misunderstanding, then you appreciate somebody being sweet. And a lot of times, here's the thing: a lot of times, spouses can turn spouses for the worse. I've seen it done from women to men, and I'm not saying it doesn't go the other way, but that's just the way I've seen it. My personal experience. This is not indicative. This is not. I'm not talking about like this is not meant to be a case there. I'm just saying I've seen spouses turn for the worse because of how their spouses treat them, and sometimes a spouse can become vindictive because you was on some nonsense. So then there's that. There's vindictive, and then there's those who are always playing the victim, and those who playing. You think somebody who's not always playing the victim is not going to file for as much child support as she possibly can? You think that's what's going to happen? I mean, we just got to look about be more wary on who we have kids with, and there's just a lot of irresponsibility in the United States when it comes to men and children. So many people born out of wedlock, and then on top of that, so many people are just like I was listening to South Korea and Japan, and it's just like have a 2% illegitimacy rate. It's just like, and this is in 2020 something, because it's shunned to have kids out of wedlock, but yet not here. We're just irresponsible, and they'd be like, "Oh, we made a mistake." How come so many mistakes happen here? Because we have a culture that enables stupidity, and then a lot of us may get caught up in the system. It's like the system is messed up, and we should know this by now. We should know this. I knew this like in the early 2000s, before the internet, before I was even on the internet. How come we still don't know this? How come we still don't know this? Anyways, so then you have um, then you have and then you have some of the men's spaces talk about certain type of women. It is true that men don't tend to care about women's degrees, but at the same time, you want and men don't like boss chicks, and I don't believe, and I'm not telling you to marry a boss chick or anything, but at the same time, you want somebody who can hold their own. You want somebody who can get resources from yourself, independent of you, because something might happen to you. Like when my dad like had my mom like get a degree and work in a profession, and then she's retired now and she gets a pension. But the reason why he had her do that is because he was like, something might happen to me, and something did happen to him. I mean, he didn't die; he's still alive, but he lost his kidneys. And then like the stable job that he had late like was stopped being stable because he worked for the automotive industry, and I mean, he's good at what he does, but it just wasn't stable anymore. So stuff happens, man, and you want somebody who is able to hold their own. Like you might die, you might get real sick or something like that, and you want somebody who can hold their own independent of you. Let alone you might get divorced, and you think somebody who's the most likely person who's going to take is the maximum amount of resources from you, the person who can get their own, or the person who can't. So yes, you want to see if they can get resources on their own. I'm not saying they have to have this like the independent mindset, I don't need no man mindset or anything like that, but they should just be able to get their own resources. And if there's a huge disparity of how much resources you could attain, she's probably going to try to get as much resources as she can from you, whether it's through the child support system or whatever. Lead attorneys even talked about that. He was like, yeah, I know the manosphere has talked about you finding this woman at the dollar store, but that's the woman from the dollar store is the one who's going to take all your money. The woman who makes more than you can't take any money, right? Because she has more resources than you. So she can't take any. She probably ain't going to take anything. Unless she ends up getting with custody of the kids. Then you still have to pay child support. But I've seen women who had to pay men child support because they could get resources. So make sure your woman can acquire resources. And another thing about that too is this is why the United States is losing cultures or losing to like a lot of foreign cultures. This is blacks and whites and other. This is not just African Americans, but this is whites too, because a lot of foreign cultures, they have their wives are working with them to build their businesses and things of this nature. They work with them to build their businesses, and then they're able to pass on their businesses to their children. Their wives they both work to build their business. Like I was recently staying at a hotel where like the whole Indian family was staying inside the hotel. The whole Indian family was staying in the hotel. I just saw this because I had to find them, and then they were all in a room in a hotel, and I was just like, oh, okay, that's what's up. Good for you. But we don't build like that. We don't build as families over here. I hear the Jewish community do that. I didn't really see that when I was living around them because I grew up around them. But I heard they do that. But I know other foreign cultures do. I know the Chaldeans do. I know the Chaldeans are real good with that. Because I grew up around them too. But yeah, so like a woman, like, and another thing is like there's the entitled woman um, versus the one who's going to be a helpmate. Like, I was just talking about the mentality of a helpmate, those who can get their own resources and those who are going to build with you. The entitled woman or the spoiled woman is just going to let you spend all her money on you and is not really focused on the future, but what you can do for her. And she's not going to really pour into you. She's not really a wife. She's a trophy piece, which if you get a divorce, guess what? I mean, you have kids, guess what? She's going to probably drain you of resources. She's going to probably drain you of resources. That's just the way it is. So, yeah, it's just, we just got to, this is why we have men going overseas, men going over their own way. And interesting enough, I hear stories of men going overseas and they find women, and woman is just like, how can I help you build? How can I help you? Basically, not as a McDonald's commercial or anything, but like a '90s McDonald's commercial, but more like, okay, how can I help you like build? How can I help you build? And if you have a building, there's a huge difference between somebody who has a building mentality versus somebody who wants to be spoiled. Somebody who wants to be spoiled will let you spend stupid money on them, but the one who wants built is going to be wants you to be very responsible and and looking at what are you doing with the future of our funds, because we're trying to build something that is going to sustain, and that trying to build a legacy together, like a lot of these foreign cultures do. So, anyways, that's just really all I have to say about that. We should just this and the reason why I titled this "Why Like How Miss Spaces Will Set You Up," because a lot of us don't really teach the disciplining of the loins, which will set you up for a disaster like STDs and child support and whatever, and also um, in picking the wrong woman, and also the whole thing. Well, I don't care what you have. You should care what that woman, how she can gather resources, or how she can multiply your resources or be a resource. You should care about that, because most people can't be like Andrew Tate, where the woman can just, like he says, he wants his wife just to sit around and smile. Like, most people can't do that anymore. We need two incomes. Like for like a lot of countries need two incomes. Their wife and the husband works. And even in industrial revolution, or in even America, both spouses work. Like, what do you think they was doing on the farm? You think the man was working, the wife was just sitting in the house, just looking outside? No, they were both was working on that farm. That's how human history was. All right, but anyways, that's really all I have to say. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching that.